Hi, my name is Lois. I am definitely a compulsive overeater. Today I weigh and measure 3 meals a day off the gray sheet. I call it into my sponsor. I don't eat in between meals no matter what. And abstinence is the most important thing, and it's really the format for me having a chance at having a healthy day. Before I go into my share, I do have 2 pictures to share. This is my second long-term abstinence in Gray Sheet. And when I left Gray Sheet the first time, I'm only 5 feet tall, and I was up to about 235, 239 pounds. So I have 2 lovely pictures to share with you. This was a picture of me just before, it was my last picture in the yearbook of the school I was teaching in, and I was pretty close to 230. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's a little bit small, but that's that one. And then I do have one other one to share. Let me find the other one. And this is me just before I came back to Gray Sheet. Is that too small, or can you see it? You can see it? Yeah, it's pretty bad. My weight was all in my neck and my head. So, why did I come back to Gray Sheet? My early childhood, in the very late 60s and 70s was basically, my parents believed in shaming you if you were heavy. That was how kids were raised. And there was nothing more shameful for many parents than to have a fat child, because I think it was seen as you were a failure as a parent. And I've shared before, we were watching TV one time, and this woman was on, and she had like found some amazing cure for some kind of cancer. And all my parents could do was talk about how fat she was. Not what she did, but oh my God, look how fat she is. And so that was always, I remembered that. I had in high school, in late high school, we'd gone to an OA meeting that practiced the Gray Sheet food plan. And we did it for 30 days, and it was very different. The food plan was the same, but it was the way the program was followed was different. And we did it for 30 days, and we lost, weight. Neither my sister nor I were really heavy, and neither really was my mother, but she was just, the focus in the 60s, 70s, 80s was thin, 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 thin. And I always remembered Gray Sheet, and I said, oh my God, what a horrible place. Eating steamed veggies all day long and grilled protein. And I thought, oh, this is just, I'll never do this again. Fast forward, I had my daughter. I was massively overweight, because I ate all the junk that we all eat. All this, I'm a salty, crunchy person. I'm an angry eater. I eat at people. That's what I do. I'll show you. You think I'm fat? I'm going to get even fatter. And so, yeah, and I win. Okay. And so this is obviously not a very healthy attitude to have. I struggled with a colicky baby. I felt like a failure as a parent. I later found out I was suffering from a serious form of postpartum. I eventually was put on medication. And my therapist said, what you need to do is what can you work on? And my daughter was screaming. My husband was getting high all the time. My parents were really not that interested in watching my daughter. I couldn't wait to go back to work. In fact, I called them up and I said, please, can I come back, please? Because I knew I was good at teaching. I wasn't good at mothering. And so now I have the double shame of being a fat person and also being a really bad mother. And ultimately, I came back to OA, petrified that they were going to make me go on Gray Sheet, and they had just literally voted out the Gray Sheet. And I was fairly successful in OA. under the a modified Weight Watchers program. And I did pretty well. Lost about 40, 50 pounds, kept it off for a couple of years until I started adding in more carbohydrates. And I knew I didn't need anyone to tell me that I was messed up chemically with carbs. I knew it. The only way I could not eat them later on when I left OA was to go back on diet pills and speed. And so I used that to stay in normal weight for many years. I stopped doing that, and I kept eating and eating and eating. I just kept getting fatter and fatter and fatter. And as a 5-foot person, I already felt shame about my body. I was built, I'm very big on top, very small waist. I didn't have the body that to this day, if I'm being honest, I really don't like my body. I struggle with it. And I finally had to, I ran into some OAers who were thin and they looked calm. They looked calm. And I said, what are you doing? What are you doing? And they said, oh, we found a gray sheet meeting. I said, isn't that like illegal? Isn't that like they voted it out? And I've shared before, and people are giggling because they already know what I'm going to say. Just the thought of doing something illegal against the man was like, oh, okay, now I'll do gray sheet because it's illegal according to OA. That was like fun. And so I went to a bunch of meetings. I didn't actually do the food plan. I just sat and listened for a while. And then the other reason that brought me back there was my daughter had started gaining weight and I was starting to shame her. I was repeating the same patterns that my mother did. And I just remember seeing my daughter getting chunky as a child, and I know life is so hard for heavy children. I know we're supposed to be all about body acceptance. I get that, but I was abusing my child. We went out every night for fast food and crap. We ate crap all the time, and I was just, I guess shame in a way does work for sometimes. So I finally reluctantly agreed to start weighing and measuring my food, and I did. And I think I got 90 days or 100 days, and then I took my will back, and then I had to start counting again. But I was okay with it. And people at work were so shocked that I lost weight so quickly. They were convinced I had some kind of operation or something. And I would just sit up in my classroom and eat my food alone because I just couldn't handle people commenting on the way I used to eat was I'd have 2 or 3 breakfasts. I would go to the local 7-Eleven or D&D, and I would have my pre-breakfast, then I'd have my breakfast, then I'd have my after breakfast. Then there were always snacks in the faculty room, and then there was lunch, and then there was post-lunch, and then there were snacks after lunch, and then there was crap I'd buy on the way home. So the way I was eating, having a salad with protein and a cooked vegetable, people would like, when I finally did come out in public and eat, they were like, whoa, Lois, what are you doing? And it was such a traumatic, really traumatic difference. And I was afraid I was going to fail. So I tried to stay in but I didn't. I stayed in Gray Sheet for about, again, 8 years, which is, I just had my 8th-year anniversary back again. But I started fighting with the community. I fought with them. I fought, how come this group can have this? How come this one can do this? This one doesn't have to wait 4 hours. How come this meeting does this? And I loved arguing. That was my nature. And I had become a union negotiator and a union vice president. And that aspect of my personality worked great for that, but it didn't work well for Gray Sheet. Ultimately, as my parents got older, they moved to Florida, and I'm a New Yorker, and I would come down to Florida all the time because everybody knows that's the requirement of New Yorkers. You have to go to Florida multiple times a year. That's mandated in the books somewhere. And as my parents got older and more frail, I don't know, maybe the traveling took a toll on me. There were problems with my sister and her situation. I ended up where I started having fights with people in the Gray Sheet community. I would deliberately cause problems at business meetings. I mean, and I finally left, and I just said, that's it. I'm done. I'm good. You think I was fat then? Just wait. And then I got even, and I left. I shared this story before. I went into the secretaries in the office. I said, look, you're going to see me gain a ton of weight really fast because I'm not doing that stupid food plan anymore. And I don't want anybody to talk anything. Don't say a word to me about it. And they were like, okay, and I did. I proved them right. I gained it all back really fast. And I think I have 5 minutes left, right, Stacy? About, yeah. And thank you. And I ate and ate. My parents got sicker, weaker. And I finally had to take an earlier retirement than I really wanted to. And in the back of my mind, I always thought, well, I can always go back to Gray Sheet if if it really gets bad. It's Florida. Florida's a big state. It's got to have Gray Sheet, right? No, I hate to tell you, Florida is a really big state, and there are very few in-person meetings, even before COVID. And anyhow, my mother passed away a few months after I moved down here. And all I thought about at the funeral was, oh, if I was in Gray Sheet, I would have the support of the community. But I really don't want to eat that food. And I thought about it for about a year, and finally, March 25th, 2016, I went back up to New York to visit some friends, and one of my friends had returned to Gray Sheet. She said, I'm going to a meeting tonight. Why don't you come? I said, all right. I came, and we all went out to eat afterwards. And like I said, March 25th, that 2016, I started weighing again, and I've been abstinent ever since. I'd like to just spend the last few minutes talking about how I'm working the program differently this time. First of all, I've abandoned all hope of a better past. I've heard that shared at meetings. I can't blame my parents for what I'm choosing to do today. I also do not get into discussions or fights with other people about my food. I just talk to my sponsor, and that's it. I can't get into discussions. If I'm on a business meeting and I feel that it's going in a rocky way and I feel like it's not going to support my abstinence, I leave. I stopped being a GSR because I had some disagreements with things that were going, and I knew that it wasn't a good place for me. About 3 or 4 years into this recovery, I started practicing two-way prayer. And if you had told me if you had told me that I was going to sit quietly for 10 to 15 minutes, well, I did it. I started doing it, and it has changed my life, completely changed my program. I don't know if I even believe in God, but I know I have learned a method to practice the pause. I have finally learned to keep my damn mouth shut and listen and not argue with everybody. It's not my job. It's not my job to give you advice. One of the biggest things I heard was unasked for advice is criticism. And I thought, wow, that is really profound. When I step in to tell somebody how I do it, what I'm really saying to them is, you're doing it wrong. Oh my God, I get chills when I hear that. I pause when I'm agitated. I pause when I'm agitated. I ask my higher power to show me the next right thing. I have my own version of the third step prayer, and we're being recorded, so I'll leave out the curse. Higher power, I'm going to F it up, you take it. Higher power, I'm effing it up, you got to take it. And a lot of you know that I became a big tennis, well, not big, well, I became an enthusiastic tennis player when I moved down here. And the last 3 years have been rough on me. I had to have a growth removed from my spine, so I couldn't play 4 or 5 times a week. Then I had a broken foot. And now I'm going to have a knee replacement in a couple of weeks. And I'm used to eating healthy on the Gray Sheet, like really well. And I've put on about 10 pounds since this, 10, 15 pounds. But I'm abstinent. And I'll just close by saying I've had to reframe this portion of my abstinence. I'm not going to have the thin body I really wanted to have right now, just right now. I'm abstinent. After I get the knee replacement, I get back to work, then I'll look at making major changes, but I just want to thank you guys for asking me to speak today, and I think is my time just about up, Stacy? Yeah, all right, I'll just end quickly with saying that something I learned when I got upset on the tennis court. I would say, may you be happy, may you be strong, may you feel like you belong, because I always felt like I didn't belong, but in Gray Sheet I do. So I think I'll end with that. And thanks for inviting me to speak.